Pete, as we turn to you tonight, Pete Hoekstra in Bonita Springs, Florida, a couple of notes listening to what Judge Gorsuch had to say. Of course, he spoke about the late Antonin Scalia, but he also brought up someone else who occupied that seat, Justice Robert Jackson. Mr. Justice Jackson in the 1950s earned quite a reputation with this particular observation. He said, the Constitution is not a suicide pact. Now, with your involvement in intelligence and the fact that those who oppose us in terms of the terror groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, who freely said they want to take advantage of our civil liberties, given the fact that he cited Mr. Justice Jackson, can we expect a view of this that will champion security, perhaps over liberty, given that dynamic that exists within the realm of jurisprudence and political thought, Pete?
I don't necessarily think so, JD. I think what we're going to see, I think, out of this justice, and at least what Donald Trump and what conservatives would want, is a real protection of individual rights, individual reflections of what is in the Constitution. And it will be, this is what the Constitution says. It's not an evolving document, and we will interpret it. And if people want to change it and infringe on liberties and those types of things, then let Congress make those laws, or let the process work out so that, excuse me, so that we actually change the Constitution. But no. And the other point is, JD, I don't think many of us have ever seen that trade-off being out there, that there actually would be a trade-off between liberty and security. That's not necessary for us to effectively fight this war against radical Islamists or other threats that we may or may not face in the future.
But of course, in terms of the continuum, in terms of political philosophy, and so often as these cases will mandate, those difficult decisions will have to be made. Pete, we should also note that although you chaired the Intelligence Committee, and though people have taken a look at the record of Mr. Justice Designate Gorsuch, the fact is we really don't know what we are getting. If you take a look back in history, you take a look at President Eisenhower picking former Governor Earl Warren. Ike was heard to reflect, biggest fool mistake I made, he said, in reflecting on that pick. There have been other surprises. Indeed, Anthony Kennedy, now in that swing position on the court, was regarded during the era of Reagan as a staunch conservative. So, Pete, while we put a lot of emphasis on someone's resume, the fact is once someone is named to the court, once they are confirmed, their positions can evolve. What do you think will make it different in this case, Pete?
I'm not sure that this case will be any different. You know, this gentleman is 49 years old. I'm assuming he's going to get confirmed. I agree with Michael. This is going to be a very brutal confirmation fight, but I assume that eventually he will find his way onto the court. And I think as soon as he finds himself on the court, all of a sudden the magnitude of the position that he is in, the importance of each and every vote that he casts on that Supreme Court, the rationale and the reasoning that he goes through will weigh on him. I think we all expect that he will be a conservative. But as you have pointed out, there have been surprises in the past, even with Justice Roberts. Some of us have been surprised by some of the calls that he has made. So while we have this indication of where this designee is going, once they're on the court, they can go in whatever way that they believe the law guides them, and there's really no tools to rein them back in or replace them. So we hope that we've done a good vetting process, but that's the past. You're on the Supreme Court, you get the new robe, you get the new office, the new building, and those types of things, and who knows what may happen.